Hey guys, welcome to Yoga with Coops. It's awesome to see you practicing. This is day 4 of the 21-day striker pose challenge. I hope you've been bossing those chaturanga dandasana, mixed in with the plank, and maybe then you just chill out and zen. But today we're going to look at the pose that is literally in every class, Adho Mukha Svanasana, the downward facing dog. People that come to yoga to begin with in those first few classes sometimes find this posture really straining in lots of areas. And so using your time at home to get into this posture can help you release some of the benefits in your body, strengthening your spine, lengthening it, calming your nervous system because your heart's going to go up above your head, okay? And then just feeling all over awesomeness. I love this pose, but I know what you're feeling like those first few classes where it's like, oh, I'm not downward dog again. Let's get into it, and I'm going to go through some modifications, but then also ways to train your body to find its best posture of downward facing dog. So let's go. Okay, so just start standing at the top of the mat. Have a little stretch out, bend into the knees. And just arrive at the mat in your Tadasana, day 1 of striker pose. Lifting the toes and lifting the heels. And just finding some length in the spine. Calming any of the thoughts. Inhaling in through the nose. And exhale. Softening the body. And start to wiggle into the wrists. So bring the wrists out in front of you. And start to give them a little wiggle. Great. These wrists are going to take a little bit of pressure in this posture, so being kind to them. Then start to lower down. I'm going to come onto all fours. And whilst we're there, spread the fingertips wide, and we're slowly going to rock over these wrists. And if you're going to practice this posture a few times at home, I really would recommend warming the wrists up. Okay? Because these wrists have got tiny little muscles and little fragile bones, the carpals. And you'll feel them. You'll feel them work. You'll feel them maybe feel a little bit achy after practice if it's your first few practices of yoga. And then bring the fingertips to face inwards and slowly circle. And backwards and forwards. Taking your time. You can do this as long as you want at home, okay? And so just taking your time and bringing the fingertips to face the outer edges of the mat. Slowly rocking over and back. It feels good. And then bring the fingertips to face the front of the mat. And place the pointy finger and the thumb, shoot them upwards. Okay, roll the shoulders back and find that your hands are about shoulder width apart. Then you're going to walk the knees in slightly here and tuck these toes under. Okay, on the inhale, gaze up, and exhale, loosen the head muscles down. Learn what that looseness feels like in your neck. Great. And from here, we're going to start to lift the kneecaps away from the mat. And as we do, start to lift those sit bones up nice and high. And walk the feet out. Now your feet position, you can gaze at them and then look up at your hips. And just do a little check, are they in line with each other? Sometimes they can be too close together or wide apart. And so let's get them hip width apart. And walking out on the spot feels super nice. And it's starting to soften the hamstrings, wake them up, picturing you're squashing your orange underneath your heels. And with these shoulders, loop them back and find that length in the spine. Use an inhale to lift the gaze And then exhale to melt the head back down. And we're finding the length in the arms, peeling the shoulders back, but pushing up into your fingertips. And walking out on the spot. Finding length in that spine. And slowly lower that down. Take child's pose. Take a moment before we go into practicing some alternative downward dogs. What may feel right for you in class. So it's absolutely fine in any yoga class for you not to go into the full posture. You go into what feels right in your body at the time. And so it's not uncommon for me to see in my classes some women that are, and men that are in the pose, downward dog, but then they're throwing their leg up in the air and they're shaking it on out. Or they're going from downward dog into a child's pose, back into a smaller version of the dog, a mini dog. Okay, but it's great, and I love seeing that because it's what people want in their body at that moment in time. And so the best thing to do is listen to what your body needs. I'm going to use a block here. If you don't have a block, you could maybe use a book, or trying to think of other things that would be cool to use. Or maybe a couple of pillows or something like that in between your thighs. So I'm going to place it in between your thighs. And what this is doing is training your body to bring the insides of your thighs, your adductors, to face in. Okay, it's as if someone's pulling them in and sweeping them out the back. Okay, like you're shooting out a poo at the back. Okay, so get into this pose first. And then let's set this up. So tabletop. Shoulder width apart, fingers in check, spread, glue the palms into the mat, glue the fingertips in, then tuck the toes under, ready to lift up. And you'll instantly feel that on the insides of your thighs, your adductors are working. Okay, loosen the head down and hold here. So don't worry about your heels touching the floor. Bend into the knees if that feels right for you, or find that stretch. Slowly release the knees down a little and then start to work these forearms across the mat. So the left hand's going to come off and the left forearm's going to place down across the mat. The right hand's coming off and the right hand's going to come down. Just bend into the knees and then find your stretch. Hold on to the elbows. So a really good stretch for the legs and the shoulders. And then slowly walk the forearms facing the front of the mat. So fingertips face the front, walk the feet in. Now options here, drop the knees down, wiggle the block out. Give yourself a breather and keep these hands flat on the mat. First finger and the thumb facing the front of the mat. And ready to start lifting up into these sit bones and straightening the legs. It's a really good pose to train your body for inversions, which will be another series on this YouTube channel. But walking out on the spot. Another option, drop the knees down gently, take a child's pose, and keep this child's pose active. So, active pose, let's push the fingertips into the mat, let the head loosen down but lift the forearms. And then slowly release the forearms down, feeling that rest. It feels so good. And then start to lift back up. Let's take the hands to join each other. So interlace. And bring the elbows shoulder width apart. You're creating a triangle. And your hands are at the top of that triangle. And we're going to push up into a loose down dog. So lift the hips, loosen the head. Great. Walking out on the spot. And take some breaths, or maybe bending into the knees right to left. Warming up those ribs and the cage and all the arteries around the heart. And some people from here like to start stretching out their legs finding some stretch up and finding what feels right in your body, in your anatomy. So maybe circling. This is really powerful on the body. Release into your child's pose. And so the downward facing dog, Ardha Mukha Svanasana, there's so many variations to it, and it can really help your anatomy to feel its strongest, but working on what feels right for you. And don't think in a class or in your home practice that you have to stick to one posture because the teacher has guided you into that posture. Modify for your body, for your moment in that time of your practice, okay? It's really lovely to welcome you into my home again for the 21-day challenge, striker pose. Can't wait to see you tomorrow for day 5. It's going to be an awesome posture. See you guys.